Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle and I am very excited today because I am introducing a new series for this channel called Mystery Through History. Now, I absolutely love mysteries. It's my favorite genre to read. I also love history. So if I'm going to pick up a nonfiction book, there is every likelihood that it is going to be a history of some kind. And so it should be no surprise to learn that historical mysteries are my absolute favorite kind of mystery to read. I just adore historical mysteries. And so I thought it would be fun on this channel to do a series focusing in on historical mysteries. And so to kick it off, I am going to do 5 eras, 5 days. This is day 1. I'm going to do 1 video a day this week, a different era every day, highlighting a historical mystery set in that era. And to kick things off, I am taking us way back to the Roman Empire with Paul Doherty's Murder Imperial. This is a mystery set during 313 AD. So this is very long ago. I will also confess I don't tend to read a ton from this time period, but I have read this one. I read it last year for my book club and I enjoyed it, primarily because I really like Paul Doherty. Paul Doherty is a British writer. He's written 100 books. He has a lot of different series, and this is the first in a series that he has done set in Rome in the early 300s. It's a series of 4, and his main character is a girl called Claudia, and she is a spy. This book came out in 2003. So first of all, let's talk about the era. What was going on in the world in 313 AD? Well, the emperor in Rome was Constantine, who became Constantine the Great. And so I don't know a whole lot about this time period, but I have heard of Constantine the Great. And he was ruling for 7 years when this book opens. He was the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, and he was influential in the proclamation of the Edict of Milan in 313, which declared tolerance for Christianity in the Roman Empire. Before that, Christians were persecuted in the Roman Empire. He also renamed Byzantium Constantinople, and that is a city today that we are familiar with. It is now called Istanbul. And so that's kind of the era. That's what's going on when this book opens. So let me just read the back to give you a little bit of an idea of the plot of this book. Under the rule of Emperor Constantine, Rome finally appears to be emerging from its turbulent past. In order to consolidate his control, and under the guidance of his mother Helena, Constantine plans to harness the power of the increasingly influential Christian church. But his loyalties are brought into question when 3 courtesans from the Guild of Aphrodite, a guild Constantine himself frequents, are found dead. All 3 bodies have crosses etched on their foreheads and each cheek. Aiming at protecting her son's future, Helena calls upon the service of an agent in rebus politicus, or a spy. Claudia is the niece of a tavern owner and is placed as a wine server in Constantine's household. But Claudia has secret motives of her own. So, as I already said, I don't tend to read a ton from this time period, but I do like Paul Doherty. Paul Doherty is one of those historical mystery writers who does his research. His books are always well researched, so you really feel like you're a part of that world, whatever world it is that he is evoking, and in this case, the Roman Empire. But one thing that is very Paul Doherty is that he likes to include kind of obscure or unusual facts. He calls it the undergrowth of history. I like that. So he said, I read this on his website, that the things that are maybe just given a footnote as a footnote or omitted altogether, those are the things that grab his attention, and he likes to include that type of thing in his books. So that makes his books always very interesting. He has curious detail, and I enjoy that a lot. So one thing that could sort of count for that in this book, when the book opens, we meet Claudia a couple years before the main events of this book, and her brother Felix, who is deaf, tries to save her from an attacker, and he gets killed during that event. And so because she has this brother who is deaf, she has learned to communicate with him using some signs with her hands. And when the events of the book opens, she meets a man called Anastasius. He's a Christian priest and scribe. He's a secretary to Helena, who is Constantine's mother. But he is also deaf, and so he and Claudia are able to communicate, though, because she is familiar with using sign because of her brother. So that was just kind of an interesting little tidbit in the story. Because Paul Doherty is quite good at research, he also likes to give his readers a little bit of a heads up, help them ground themselves in the world, make them somewhat familiar with things that are maybe unfamiliar to us. And so he wrote a brief introduction that I'd like to read to you because it's very interesting. During the trial of Christ, Pilate, according to the Gospels, wanted to free the prisoner. He was stopped by a cry that if he did so, he would be no friend of Caesar's. According to commentators, Pilate recognized the threat. Every Roman governor and official was closely scrutinized by secret agents of the emperor, the agents in rebus, literally the doers of things. I love that. I love that. The Roman Empire had a police force, both military and civil, though these differed from region to region, but it would be inaccurate to claim the empire had anything akin to detectives or our own CID. Instead, the emperor and his leading politicians paid vast sums to informers and spies. These were often difficult to control. As Walsingham, Elizabeth I's master spy, once wryly remarked, he wasn't too sure who his own men were working for, himself or the opposition. The agents in rebus were a class apart amongst this horde of gossip collectors, talebearers, and sometimes very dangerous informers. The emperors used them, and their testimony could mean the end of a promising career. This certainly applied to the bloody and Byzantine period at the beginning of the 4th century AD. The emperor Diocletian had divided the empire into east and west. Each division had its own emperor and a lieutenant who took the title of Caesar. The empire was facing economic problems, barbarian incursions. Its state religion was threatened by the thriving Christian church, which was making its presence felt in all provinces at every level of society. In AD 312, a young general, Constantine, supported by his mother Helena, a British-born woman who was already flirting with the Christian church, decided to make his bid for the Empire of the West. He marched down Italy and met his rival Maxentius at the Milvian Bridge. According to Eusebius, I'm sorry, I'm really not good at these names, Constantine's biographer, the would-be emperor saw a vision of the cross underneath the words, "In this sign you will conquer." Constantine, the story goes, told his troops to adopt the Christian symbol and won an outstanding victory. He defeated and killed Maxentius and marched into Rome. Constantine was now emperor of the West, his only rival, Licinius, who ruled the Eastern Empire. Constantine, heavily influenced by his mother, grasped the reins of government and began to negotiate with the Christian Church to end centuries of persecution. Nevertheless, intrigue and murder were still masters of the day. There was unfinished business in Rome, and the agents in Rebus had their hands full. So, if you are a fan of this time period of the Roman Empire, then maybe you want to give this series a try, starting with Murder Imperial by Paul Doherty. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know down in the comment section down below, is this an era that interests you? Are you really intrigued by very early history? Let me know. I'd love to have a discussion. Have you read this book? I'd love to talk about that as well. And I will see you tomorrow for the next 5 eras, 5 days video. Bye.